Coming up, Buck skipper Jim Leyland pulls out all the stops and starts. Ted Power? And John Van Beesbrook makes it a long night on Broadway for the Canadians. And O'Meara Mira, who's the fairest in Vegas.
Sports Dads with Paul Romanuk and Chris Edens.
Hello there. The weekend is here. Lots going on in sports for the weekend. Everybody's off, except for you. I think you got to work on the weekend.
Work on the weekend.
We've got a little bit of CFL football to preview for you in the next half hour or so. But first up, of course, the National League Championship Series. The Cincinnati Reds trying to pass the Bucks and hit the payoff in the World Series.
Big game, Game 6 at Riverfront Stadium. Pirates manager Jim Leyland made his first pitching change on Friday before Game 6 of the National League Championship Series even started. Lefty Zane Smith was scheduled to get the start for the Bucks, but remember, he was roughed up for 8 hits and 5 runs back in Game 3. And with the abundance of right-handed hitters in the Reds lineup, Leyland decided to go with right-handed reliever Ted Power instead. Now, this is a risk because Power hasn't started a game all season. In fact, his last start was 3 years ago, 1987, and it was with the Cincinnati Reds. And the Reds get to Power, bottom of the first inning, runners on the corners for Eric Davis, who grounds to Jay Bell. He goes to second for 1. Chico Lean can't complete the double play. Barry Larkin scores 1-0 Reds after 1 complete. Ted Power lasts only 2 1/3 innings. Scheduled starter Zane Smith comes on, bottom of the third. With bases loaded, 2 out, he gets Chris Sable to fly out to Andy Van Slyke in center field. It's still 1-0 after 3. Danny Jackson, perfect through 4 for the Reds, with help from Mariano Duncan at second base. Great play to Rob Van Slyke to end the Pittsburgh threat in the 4th. But after 1 out, Barry Bonds in the top of the 5th. Carmelo Martinez rips one over Paul O'Neill in right. Bonds will come in to score easily on the play. We're tied at 1 after 5. We go to the bottom of the 7th inning now, and runners on the corners for pinch hitter Luis Quinones. And he lines a single to right off Smith. Ron Oster comes in to score the go-ahead run, and the Reds lead 2-1 after 7. Top of the 9th now, Randy Myers looking for his 3rd save of the series. Man on first, 1 out. Carmelo Martinez hits one deep to right field. Glenn Braggs goes back in a beautiful catch. This one would have been over the wall. Reds are 1 out away. Don Slott represents the Bucks' last hope. Myers blows him away with strike 3. The Reds win the National League pennant for the first time since 1976 with a 2-1 win. Reds pitching held the Bucks to just 1 hit. The Nasty Boys, Rob Dibble and Randy Myers, were named co-MVPs of the series. And after the game, Ron Oster summed up the winning feeling in Cincinnati.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. This is the ultimate right here, and I'm not thinking about the World Series right now. I'm going to enjoy this tonight, but this is what you shoot for your whole career, and it's been 12 years, and finally I got to this point, and hopefully we'll make the most of it now.
You know, just this whole series, pretty much, I think we've made some game-saving plays in the field, and, you know, it's an attest to the organization and how they keep their players fresh for every game, and, you know, I think we were prepared, you know, for this series, and we wanted it, and we came out and we took it.
Well, it was a low-scoring series, so pitching and defense definitely played a big part. We've been doing the job all year. I think we led the major leagues or the National League in fielding, and the pitchers, our bullpen, been doing a tremendous job for us all year. It was just an overall great team concept and a great team victory.
I've tried to explain to people that one guy can't carry a team, and that's what's evident of our team this year. When I went down in April and I missed 6 weeks, that seemed like that motivated everybody, and you know, we just took it from there.
Well, we got to go out and try to get the film and stuff because, you know, they're a great team, and all you got to do is check the All-Star game films from the last few years to find their team. We got to go 1 game at a time, and hopefully we can take and win this thing.
I went to spring training, and I told this club that this is the year for the Reds to win. They've been together 4 or 5 years. They had good talent here. Just a question of executing. It's a question of being unselfish and doing the little things that it takes to win baseball games. And they adhered, and they've done it between the white lines. And this has been a great championship playoff series. I want to congratulate Pittsburgh, by the way, on how well they played in this thing, and also the great job that Jimmy Leyland did as manager of that ball club.
And the World Series begins Tuesday, October 16th at Cincinnati's Riverfront Stadium. The pitching matchup has Dave Stewart, who is 2-0 in the playoffs, against Cincinnati's Jose Rio, who is 1-0. World Series begins Tuesday at Riverfront. Whether or not
whistles, and so too do the Reds. Mark Messier is a mess, out 4 to 6 weeks. And Eric Dickerson back in the fold and happy for the time being.
Sports Desk with Paul Romanuk and Gord Miller.
Well, we have the complete hockey picture coming your way. We also have a luge feature coming up a little bit later on for those of you who like those sports on sort of the cutting edge in that gray area between sports and entertainment.
Reminds me of winter.
But first up, we have the World Series, of course, and trend, someone once said, is not always destiny, but the trend is to pick the A's in a walk in this World Series. Another brick on the road to being a dynasty, but I think they maybe found a crack in the road and stumbled just a bit.
Speed bump. Speed bump. Even the Oakland A's players were admitting it before the series began. The pressure was squarely on them to win the World Series. Words like dynasty were being used. This Oakland A's team was being compared to the powerhouse squads of the 70s. Seemingly lost in the shuffle were the Cincinnati Reds, the team with very little World Series experience and seemingly no chance. It seemed like David against Goliath, and we all know who won that one. Both teams wearing American flags in salute of the troops in the Persian Gulf. Dave Stewart gets the call for the A's, and facing Eric Davis in the first, Davis's first World Series at-bat. Welcome to the Fall Classic, Eric. A 2-run homer, and the Reds take a 2-0 lead. In the third, Cincinnati starter Jose Rio gets into some trouble. Ricky Henderson drives the ball to left. Davis, with the bad shoulder, dives to the turf, can't hold on. Henderson gets into second with the double, but Rio gets out of it. Men at the corners, he's facing Mark McGuire. McGuire hits the roller up the middle. It's still 2-0. Bottom of the third now, 1 on for Billy Hatcher. He drives to left. Barry Larkin scores, and Hatcher goes to third on the bad throw. It's 3-0 in favor of Cincinnati. And the Reds don't let up in this ball game. Now to the fifth, more runners on. They got 2 men aboard this time. Eric Davis, again, punches out a single. Billy Hatcher scores, 5-0 Reds. Still in the fifth, Chris Sable with the single. Paul O'Neill scores. Davis follows him. The rout is on. The Reds lead 7-0. And the fans know that Jose Rio is a big part of the Reds' success. He keeps the A's at bay. 1 on in the 7th. Rio gets Willie McGee to hit into a double play. Still 7-0 in the 7th. The A's have stranded 9 at this point. And then the Oakland A's run into the Nasty Boys. Rob Dibble gets Willie Randolph here in the 8th inning. Cincinnati will not be touched on this night. And in the 9th, Randy Meyer steps in to face Willie McGee. And McGee with the fly ball to right field. It's all over. The Reds win it 7-0. The A's strand 11 base runners. An unbelievable beginning to the 1990 World Series. The A's winning streak in the postseason ends at 10. Billy Hatcher 3 for 3 with 3 runs scored in the ball game. But the big story in this one, Eric Davis. In the National League Championship Series, he was 174, 4 for 23. He only got 5 balls to the outfield in the entire National League Championship Series. Game 1 of the World Series, 2 for 4, a home run, and 3 runs batted in, and he hits a home run in his first at-bat in the series.
Well, I don't think our confidence can be boosted any higher than it is just by getting to the World Series. And, you know, in today's game, you know, it doesn't matter if you beat them by 12 runs or 1 run. You know, if they have a real good competitive team, they're going to come out breathing fire tomorrow.
They got me thinking, they got me worried out there. But at least I was able to get away, you know, at the right, you know, time. I got to pitch whenever I had, you know, whenever I had the situation. And I was just praying to get away in situations like I did tonight, and I got lucky.
You look at the A's pitching staff in a whole, you know, we do not walk a lot of hitters, and when you have, like you mentioned, 4 walks in the first 10 10 batters, we really weren't off to a good start right there.
Yeah, we didn't make much of a game of it because we had 2 or 3 chances to really get into it. I mean, the 5th inning, you know, we get a base hit there before they score the 3, and you know, you thought we'd have some fun, but as it turned out, every time they needed an out, they made a pitch and got it, and a lot of times they needed a base hit, they got something to hit, and they did it.
We just didn't get things going. We didn't get it going early enough, and you know, that's tonight. So we'll be back here tomorrow.
The Game 2 matchup is should be a walkaway for the Oakland A's, but then that's what we said about Game 1. Bob Welch, 27 wins during the regular season. Danny Jackson was 6-6, and the Oakland A's eat up left-handed pitching. So they say it's a good thing the games aren't played on paper, because otherwise Cincinnati wouldn't have a chance.
As big a story as Eric Davis was, in another way, Stewart, equally as big a story for the A's. Hadn't come out of a game that early. He came out in the 4th inning since August the 25th of this season. Usually he's a guy that can count on to go in and go the distance for them. He had won 6 straight postseason games. They got to Stewart. I got to think the Reds are so full of confidence. I mean, the Colossus comes out there and they knock him down.
Well, you know, the one thing about it is there was so much heat on the A's before this thing because nobody gave Cincinnati a chance. What a perfect position to be in. You had a great regular season. You won the National League Championship Series to get some experience. You come into the World Series, and no one expects anything of you. I mean, as soon as Eric Davis hits that home run, you know the Oakland A's are tight in their own dugout because this is the World Series they can't possibly lose. If they do, it'll be one of the biggest upsets in the history of baseball.
I don't know. I can understand why you picked the A's to win this whole thing.
Well, I wasn't here yesterday, but if I had been, I would have picked Cincinnati, definitely. I mean,
obviously. Well, we both really would have picked Cincinnati. Time for a bit of a break. When we come back. Some terrible news for the Edmonton Oilers. You heard a big groan coming from the Northlands Coliseum tonight.
And a battle between the Hawks and the High-Flying Wings for first place in the North Division.
We have a new battery of Eckersley and Steinbach. And the shortstop, Mike Bordick, where Walt Weiss ordinarily would be playing. The leadoff batter is Eric Davis. And a strike from Eckersley. He follows Welch and Honeycutt to the hill. Davis 0 for 4. Right 2. Willie McGee has also entered the game. He's in center field. To the shortstop, Bordick just into the game and 1 out. And Jim Cott has more for us.
Jack, let me just correct one thing. If Oakland would take the lead and this would be called a suspended game, at the commissioner's discretion, we would pick up again, but it would have to be before the start of Game 3. Back upstairs.
I'll tell you, something else has transpired in this ballpark that is unbelievable. Tom Browning, who is slated for the start in Game 3, as you see Bill Bates, he'll be the pinch hitter for Rob Dibble. We just learned that Tom Browning earlier left the ballpark. His wife went into labor. The Reds clubhouse called up to Marty Brenneman, the local radio announcer here in Cincinnati. He's been doing Reds baseball for 17 years, asking Marty to make a public announcement and tell Tom, there's Marty right there to the left of your screen, and tell Tom Browning to return to the ballpark. And Marty Brenneman made that announcement because Lou Piniella might be out of pitchers, and he may be thinking of using Tom Browning in the game tonight. I've never heard of anything that unusual happen in a ball game.
Wow. The pitch to Bates is strike 2 from Dennis Eckersley. Crowd behind home plate trying to help the umpire. Bates spoils one.
Tell you, I've heard of a lot of things happen in a baseball game, but I've never heard of that.
And a high chopper, and this will be close. It's a base hit for Bates. Lansford did all he could. Might have thrown him out had he gloved the ball, but couldn't come up with it.
Bates coming over to the Cincinnati Reds from the Milwaukee Brewers. Once this ball bounces the second time, forget it. Bates runs too well. His first hit in postseason play, his first at bat, his only other appearance in a game when he was thrown out as the trail runner in Game 1 when the Reds lost to the Pittsburgh Pirates 4-3 in the National League Championship Series. What a ball game.
What are the odds that Bates would get a hit against Eckersley? What will Sabo do 1 on 1 out? Bates is a threat to run. He's a very good runner. Steinbach doing the catching. 4-4, bottom of the 10th. And a strike on the inside corner to Sabo, who's 2 for 4. And Eckersley came close to balking. He didn't stop very long.
outfielders are very deep here. Try to avoid the extra base hit, which would allow the runner to score from first. Sable's a big threat. He hit 25 home runs this year, most on their club, and Tony La Russa with some signs. Base hit by Sabo, his third hit of the night. The winning run's at second with one out.
Arnie Lansford on the line at third base. He'll move off the line now with Bates at second. That ball hit sharply into left field. Doubtful that Lansford gets to that ball if he were playing normally.
So just as in the ninth inning, here in the 10th, a hit might win the game for the Reds, and La Russa talks with his battery plus Willie Randolph. Pinella trying to keep the batting order in mind.
Told you about those switches. Wichita lineman time. Look at this.
And Williams studying the lineup card. You're right.
This is great. Calling hospitals, trying to get pitchers in the game and double switches and everything. You gotta love it.
And the batter is Joe Oliver. He made the last out in the 8th inning and left 2 on. And he has had 1 for 4. A's want the double play to send us into the 11th. Oliver wants the hit to win it. That ball is fair. Cincinnati's ahead. 2 games to none.
On the line when it goes over the bag. I think it's safe to say that Tom Browning, you don't need to come to the ballpark.
And Bates scores the winning run in a 5-4 Cincinnati victory. They beat Stewart last night. Wells started tonight, and they beat Eckersley. What are the odds of Cincinnati being 2-0? What a moment for Joe Oliver, who persevered for a long time in the minor leagues before making the grade. What a moment.
With Game Day, and stay in touch with Prime Time here on TSN.
up. It's a red October for the Oakland A's so far. Gilbert Perreault has his number retired. It's a banner night in Buffalo. And Bull returns to the Raiders, but the backfield may be just a little too crowded.
Sports Desk with Paul Romanek and Gord Miller.
Action-packed half hour coming your way. We have hockey news. We have hockey highlights. We'll ease back a little bit with a story about a weekend relaxation trip to a spa. But first up, game number 2 of the World Series. Not relaxing at all for the Oakland A's, I'm sure. Baseball's winningest team. Obviously can't win them all, but starting to wonder, is this the World Series or the World Series boiled down to 2 games?
Getting to be that way, Paul. You know, people talk about a team of destiny, an unstoppable force that knew how to win. They were talking about the Oakland A's when the World Series began, but suddenly it can all be said about the Cincinnati Reds. In Game 1, they destroyed Oakland's best pitcher, chasing Dave Stewart. In Game 2, they came back against the Oakland bullpen, supposed to be invincible. It was a closer game, but once again, it was Cincinnati, the improbable force. Pick up the game in the first inning. Ricky Henderson singled and stole a base, then Jose Canseco with the ground ball. Ricky scores the A's first run of the series, 1-0 Oakland after half an inning. But the Reds again have a big first inning. With Barry Larkin at second, Billy Hatcher lines a double down the line, and right Larkin scores easily as Canseco falls in the play. Score tied at 1. Still in the bottom of the first inning, Eric Davis steps up. He did it with the long ball in Game 1. He does it with a shorter one in Game 2. The ground out to Mike Gallego. Hatcher comes in to score 2-1 Reds after 1. Top of the third now. Finally, we see some power from the A's. Jose Canseco takes Danny Jackson deep to right field. Oakland's first homer of the postseason. A solo shot that ties the game at 2. Still in the top of the third inning, Ron Hassey lifts a fly ball to Eric Davis in left. More than enough to score Mark McGuire. A's regain the lead. It is 3-2. Then, runners on the corner for Mike Gallego. He lines a base hit up the middle. Dave Henderson scores from third. That's all for Danny Jackson. Oakland leads 4-2 after 2.5. Now to the bottom of the fourth. Joe Oliver at second. 2-0 for pinch hitter Ron Oster. And he comes through with the single. Oliver comes around. Henderson's throw is in time, but Ron Hassey can't hold on. Oliver is safe. 4-3 A's after 4. It was still 4-3 when Billy Hatcher led off the bottom of the 8th with this shot over Jose Canseco in right. Hatcher ends up on third with a triple. That is his 7th consecutive hit, a World Series record. With runners on the corners, pinch hitter Glenn Braggs bounces up the middle. Mike Gallego can't turn the double play as Braggs slides into first. Hatcher scores. Great play, 4-4 after 8. Now, bottom of the ninth. Todd Benzinger steps in and rips one to left. Ricky Henderson back, makes the great catch. That sends the game to extra innings, tied at 4. What a beauty. Now, bottom of the 10th. Dennis Eckersley facing Joe Oliver, who's got 2 aboard. Bounces it just down the line, fair. Bill Bates comes in to score the winning run. The Reds take it 5-4 and take a 2-0 lead in the series. What a story for the Cincinnati Reds. Guys like Billy Hatcher, who has reached base in all of his 9 plate appearances in the series. The Reds have won 7 straight World Series games dating back to Game 6 of the '75 series against Boston when Carlton Fisk hit that famous 12th inning homer. Let's check out the A's slide in the pitching department. On carpet, the A's this season were a run worse in the pitching department. Boy, that's been the story and more in this one. In the American League Championship Series, 1 run in each of the 4 games. So far, 12 runs allowed in the first 2 games. Now they go to natural grass in Oakland, but the A's are down 2 games to none. Are they surprised?
Definitely. Like I said, we haven't been in this position in a long time, so we'll see what happens.
I don't think anybody expected to be in this situation. You know, what can you say? I mean, tonight, we just 4 runs wasn't good enough, you know, and Bobby pitched his heart out tonight, and you know, and he gets a no decision, and you know, we just didn't get enough runs for him.
You're always surprised when we win a game against Oakland. You know, you look over at their team. You know, they have a very, very good team. So any win you can get, you thank.
It's not over yet. We've got some work to do. But I think that this It's easy to win 2 out of 5 and 4 out of 5. I think that we thought we had this game, and it got away from us. It got away from me.
And the A's can't afford to have that happen again. The matchup for Game 3 on Friday, Tom Browning against Mike Moore. Great story about Tom Browning. His wife went into labor during the game, and he went to the hospital, but the Reds decided that they might be short some pitchers, so they asked the radio announcer to ask Browning to come back to the ball game, and he was halfway back when they won it, so we still don't know where he is. But
it'll be a made-for-TV movie in another
No
couple of
doubt.
months. You can flog this whole thing to death with statistics, talk about trends over the years of teams that have gone up 2 games to nothing and so on, but I think you look at what the numbers don't tell you, and that is the incredible patience of the Cincinnati hitters. I mean, with Dave Stewart, they waited, they made him throw the forkball, which wasn't effective, and as a result, he wasn't effective. With Bob Welsh, they didn't chase the high fastballs. They made him come in low. When he throws in low, that's when he becomes hittable. Amazing patience.
Well, and the other thing is, too, I mean, how many times are you going to see guys like Billy Hatcher going 3 for 5 in a ball game? Eric Davis, 0 for 5 in a ball game, and Cincinnati wins. Throw the form charts out the window. Past performances don't seem to mean much. Statistics going into the series don't seem to mean much. It's about clutch hitting and guys coming to the fore. And we all thought it would be Oakland guys coming to the fore because they had the past performances. What gives Cincinnati all the credit in the world. Now they go to Oakland, though, a tough park to win in at the best of times.
It's going to be a great remaining 6 games of this too. Well, not 6 games. It's going to go to 6 games, I think.
Wow.
6 games.
Predictions have been going out the window, too. Still to come on Sports Desk. Ottawa eyes the NHL and more on the bid.
500, Sunday, 8 Eastern.
Today, the A's can run, but they can't hide from the Reds. Feelings run high in the Stanley Cup rematch in Edmonton. Matt's Magic. Can it get the Argos moving again?
Sports Desk with Paul Romanuk and Gord Miller.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to this edition of Sports Desk. Also ahead, we'll have CIAU football and some news from Herschel Walker. But first, it is Game 3 of the World Series. The scene shifts to Oakland. No better luck for the A's.
Everybody's been predicting a sweep in this series. One may well occur, but not in the direction everybody thought, I don't think. You can break the glass around the A's invincibility and set off the old panic alarm any time now. The Cincinnati Reds 1 game away from a sweep of the dynasty-bound Oakland A's. Perhaps the most amazing stat from this series is this. So far, the Reds hitting a remarkable .420 against 4 of the best pitchers in the majors. Dave Stewart, Bob Welsh, Mike Moore, and Dennis Eckersley. They are hitting .420 collectively against those guys. Top of the second, Chris Sable is setting the tone for the game. Mike Moore's 3-1 pitch is gone. One of Moore's big problems in the second half of the season especially is that he was pitching from behind in the count, and it was killing him. Tom Browning was behind in the count on that pitch to Harold Baines, and it's gone, and the A's are up by a score of 2-1. Third inning, a nightmare. Moore is behind in the count here against Eric Davis, and he comes in. Look at that, a letter-high fastball that wasn't very fast. Davis stings that. Hatcher scores. And then both runners advance when Dave Henderson overthrows the cutoff man. It's 2-2. A couple of batters later, Chris Sable in again. That pitch right upstairs in the wheelhouse, and Sable kisses that one so long. It is 5-2 in favor of the Reds. And out of mercy, Tony La Russa will come out to get Moore out of there. He gave up 9 hits in 2 2/3 innings. With Scott Sanderson pitching, the Reds show no signs of letting up. Joe Oliver shooting this one down.
And that makes it 6-2.
And that's Todd Benzinger coming in, Cincinnati's 6th run, still in the 3rd. With La Russa trying to hide, he will watch the nightmare continue to unfold. 7-2 for the Reds. Larkin sending this one right between the Hendersons. It is 8-2 for the Reds. Reds send 11 to the plate. La Russa looking and wondering just who can I send out there to make up some of this offense. Maybe George Blanda. He might swing a pretty mean bat. With an 8-3 lead in the 7th, the Reds turning nasty. Rob Dibble blows that one past Ricky Henderson. He sets down all 5 batters he faces, does Dibble. In the 9th, nastier for Oakland. Randy Myers slams the door shut on Lance Blankenship. And it is the Oakland ship that is sailing without a rudder at this point. Cincinnati, 8-3 winners over top of the A's. Sabo with a couple of home runs for Cincinnati. Baines and Ricky Henderson for Oakland, but just a nightmare for Oakland.
Not one guy carried us, and when Eric Davis got hurt earlier in the year, we had guys that picked us up, and we played well when he was gone. So we feel we got good, decent players all the way through our lineup, and we never give up, and that's our key. We never give up.
We did expect to give them, a rough run at it. We've got a very aggressive baseball team, and things are going our way right now. We've been out there every day, taking the same approach, and it's been working out for us this series.
The A's hoping that their superstar from the regular season, Dave Stewart, can do it for them. He only lasted 4 innings the last time he was out. He faces Jose Rio. That is the matchup for game number 4. You baseball purists will just love this news. Commissioner Fay Vincent says that he is actively working towards getting rid of the designated hitter rule. Nothing specific in terms of when the change may take place, just that he's working on it. The thing here is that it would take a majority vote by American League owners to ditch the rule. However, Vincent says a number of owners are interested in changing it.
Today, the Cincinnati Reds and their fans celebrate the impossible dream. This man hopes to remain undefeated as the Flyers visit the Canadians. And a record night for a couple of Argos as they take on Saskatchewan.
Sports Dads with Chris Sedens and Gino Reda.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to Sports Desk. Hope you are having a great weekend. We have got the news, scores, and highlights from another busy Saturday in sports, so sit back and enjoy. First up, World Series. Can you believe the Cincinnati Reds? 3 straight wins coming into action. Game 4 on Saturday night. Is there any way they could even possibly be thinking sweep against the magnificent Oakland A's?
Tony La Russa was obviously really concerned about a sweep. Jose Canseco was benched due to ineffectiveness, so was Terry Steinbach. I guess La Russa could basically have benched his whole team. Desperate situations require desperate measures, and the A's were desperate. Down 3 games to nothing going into Saturday night's action. No team has ever come back from a 3-0 deficit in the history of Major League Baseball. And the Reds suffer some injury problems early on. Dave Stewart pitches. Billy Hatcher catches the pitch on the back of his hand. But he does decide to stay in the game. With Paul O'Neill at the plate, Hatcher tries to steal second, but he's gunned down by Jamie Quirk. Quirk playing in place of Terry Steinbach. Another change by La Russa, as I mentioned before. Bottom of the first, Willie McGee playing for Canseco. Sends one to left center. Eric Davis almost makes an outstanding diving catch, but it drops. More importantly, he hurts his ribs and his kidney on the play. Both Davis and Billy Hatcher had to leave the ballpark and head to the hospital for x-rays and to get checked out. McGee ended up on second when Davis dropped the ball and scores when Carney Lansford lines this 2-out single to center. A rare clutch hit for the A's. 1-0 Oakland after 1. Top of the second. Watch Glenn Bragg swing and miss. He breaks the bat on his back. An incredible display of strength. Jose Rio settled down after giving up a run in the first. Here he is facing Ricky Henderson. Ricky Henderson gets caught looking. 7th strikeout of the game. Henderson says, no, I thought that was ball 4. The Reds threaten at the top of the 6th inning, but with the bases loaded and 1 out, Dave Stewart gets Hal Morris to hit into a 4-6-3 double play to end the inning, and the threat still 1-0 A's after 5 1/2. Top of the 8th, the Reds load the bases with help from poor A's fielding. Glenn Braggs grounds to short. Willie Randolph doesn't even attempt to throw. Barry Larkin scores. The game is tied at 1. Then Hal Morris steps in and sends a fly ball to right field, plenty deep enough to score Herm Whittingham with the go-ahead run, and it's 2-1 Reds after 7 1/2 innings of play. Go to the bottom of the 9th now. Reds still up, 2-1. Carney Lansford represents the A's last hope. Randy Myers induces him to pop up into foul territory. Todd Benzinger is there, makes the catch, and the most shocking 4-game sweep in series history is complete. The Reds are the world champs for the first time since 1976 after the 2-1 victory. The A's dugout is stunned. The Reds celebrating. They're partying in the streets. Can you believe this? At the start of the series, everybody was thinking Oakland, maybe a 4-game sweep. Wrong. Cincinnati, the 4-game sweep. Bring out the brooms. The first team to sweep a World Series and then be swept in the following season. The Oakland A's. The MVP of the World Series, Jose Rio.
I feel great all day. You know, I got a great concentration the whole game and a great slider and a good location with my fastball. I know if I couldn't concentrate like I did tonight, I know I'm going to have a good game. But I never expect to have this good game.
You know, they're not infallible. They're a great team, but we came out here and been beating them 4 in a row. There's no question in my mind who was a better team this year. Now, you know, they're a good team, and I'm sure they're going to have a great year again next year. But right now, we get to go home and get fitted for those rings.
Believe it or not, man, I'm a sore loser, so any loss is hurting to me. It's not so bad if your talent is equal. I believe that we're better when it comes to talent than the Cincinnati Reds. So it makes it that much more painful when you lose to a ball club with less talent.
To go in and play so well against Boston, you know, not get the credit, I think, for the way that we really did play against them, because they were a very good team, and we executed and did everything right. There was so much emphasis on the fact that we didn't hit home runs. You know, sometimes I think home runs are way overrated. The bottom line is who scores the most runs, and you know, they outscored us.
I don't think our players feel like we're failures. It's the difference between saying you're a loser and you lost. I feel like we lost the World Series. I certainly don't feel like the Oakland A's are losers. I mean, you take your best shot.
My message to these players, simply stated, was, look, you've played together for 4 or 5 years now. We've got a young ball club here. It's time that this club goes on and wins. It's your turn. It's your time. And let's gear ourselves up to that. That's exactly what we did.
They certainly did do it. Incidentally, Eric Davis is still in Merritt Hospital. He'll probably be there for the next 3 to 7 days. He's got a bruised kidney and a bruised rib cage. His condition is hopefully not serious, but they want to keep him there for about a week just to make sure.
Okay, Gene, to hockey now, and the Toronto Maple Leafs, a team in desperate need of a...
Real action reaction on
TFM.
Mom P.I. tonight. Beachcombers.
Tonight, a mugging in New York as the Leafs take on the Rangers. Sam's Bengals go to Cleveland to take on Bud's Browns. And in Cincinnati, Reds fans celebrate a World Series title.
Sports Desk is brought to you by the people who know Canada best. Best Western Hotels, Motor Inns, and Resorts. Sports Desk with Paul Romanuk and Gord Miller.
Hi, everybody, and welcome. In Cincinnati, the hangovers are fading, but it may take a while longer for the feeling of joy to wear off. There is nothing quite like trashing a favorite, and that's exactly what the Cincinnati Reds did in the World Series. History will remember the 1990 Oakland A's as a team that had a great year, but it is the Cincinnati Reds who will be remembered as champions, and Monday was their day to share the title with their fans.
Over 12,000 fans packed Fountain Square in Cincinnati this afternoon, despite the poor weather conditions, to honor their world champion Reds for their 4-game sweep of the Oakland Athletics. Despite the rain, players and coaches arrived at the square in convertibles. When it was time to talk, no one was at a loss for words.
It's been 5 long years for all of us, but I want you to know that we won this for the fans. And I thank you for hanging in here with us. We finally did it. God love you.
I'd like to just tip my hats to them all. They played their hearts out, and they're world champions.
We kept our mouths shut. We just went out there and proved it on the field. They can talk all they want, but they're gonna sit home all winter, and they know they don't got nothing because we got the ring and we got the money and we got everything. Thank you.
You guys are the greatest. That's why we won this thing. It's because we got great support. You people believed in us when nobody else in America did. We went out there. We kicked their ass.
And Marge Schott finished the celebrations by trying to sing "Take Me Out to the Ball Game."
Take me out to the ball game. Take me out with the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jacks. I don't care if I never get back, so it's root, root, root for the home team. If they don't win, it's a shame. So it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game. God love you.
We apologize for the audio portion of that report. Well, that will be the lasting memory of this season, obviously. Not the singing of Take Me Out to the Ball Game, but the derailing of the A's on their way to being a dynasty. Then there were the other memories, like Roseanne Barr, who did for the U.S. national anthem what Mr. Studebaker did for Cars, or Marge Schott for Take Me Out to the Ball Game. Feel free to sing along, by the way.
Marge and Roseanne weren't the only ones bringing down the house this baseball season, although Steve Lyons was the only one bringing down his pants. There were many other, less revealing, yet more inspiring stories during the summer past, like the reunification of the Griffies. Ken Sr., a member of the Big Red Machine of the 70s, joined Ken Jr. in Seattle. And like father, like son, the two Griffies put on a heartwarming show. In Chicago, players and fans alike bid a tearful farewell to baseball's oldest park. Comiskey hosted its last game. George Steinbrenner bid a forced farewell to the Yankees. Commissioner Fay Vinson ordered him to sell his majority interest in the club after Steinbrenner's questionable dealings with Howard Spira. And while the commissioner closed the door on George, Bobby Thigpen was shutting out American League hitters. The White Sox stopper demolished the old saves record of 46, recording a total of 57 saves. Some hitters just couldn't be kept down, though. In New York, Kevin Maas was rewriting the record book, hitting home runs at an unprecedented pace for rookies. And over in the National League, Dave Justice was rounding the bases with regularity as well. 37-year-old George Brett surprised everyone by winning his third batting title spread out over 3 decades. Willie McGee won a batting title in a league in which he no longer plays. Lenny Dykstra was chomping at the bit to win the National League crown, but McGee's .335 mark held up long after he was traded to Oakland. And Cecil Fielder wielded the mightiest bat of all. The former Hanshin Tiger in Japan changed his stripes to the Detroit variety and became the first major leaguer in 13 years to hit 50 home runs. But the pitchers had the last laugh this season. It was the year of the no-hitter. An astounding total of 9 no-hitters were thrown in 1990. The most bizarre one by Andy Hawkins. He lost 4-0 after 2 outfield errors. Dave Steve finally recorded his no-no after coming oh so close so many times. But the most memorable no-hitter, and perhaps the greatest story of 1990, provided by Nolan Ryan. The living legend tossed his 6th career no-hitter and recorded his 300th win a few weeks later. As much as the year of the no-no, this was the year of no-lun.
Well, Eric Davis not in Cincinnati today for the celebration. He is in a hospital in Oakland suffering from a kidney tear, the injury coming in the first inning when he tried to make that diving catch. The kidney's working okay. That's good news. No surgery needed. That's even better news, although the bad news is he lost a lot of blood. He'll stay in hospital for the next couple of days and rest while they watch his condition. 23 players filing for free agency today, the most prominent adding their names to the list being Darryl Strawberry of the Mets, Kirk Gibson of the Dodgers, Vince Coleman of the Cardinals, and Dave Righetti of the Yankees. Closer to home, pitcher Kevin Gross from the Expos also filing for free agency. From the Jays, George Bell, Bud Black, and Rance Mulliniks are all eligible to file, but they haven't yet.
Back to hockey for a moment, you all.